Hey guys, this is Sandra of the Alexandrite System, and I'm back for a couple of videos. I've been taking some time off from the channel because I've been taking some time off from a lot of things in our life. At the suggestion of our therapist, I've basically been put on bed rest for a while. I wasn't doing very well back in July when I took this break, but I'm doing a lot better now, and I'll probably have an update video on that. Maybe that'll be the next video. The last couple of days I've been thinking a lot about some stuff that happened to me. I don't share a lot of our trauma on the show. We don't share a lot of it. But I've been thinking about this lately, and I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to make this video not for sympathy, not for pity points. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to talk about it. I don't think I've ever really sat down and told the whole thing end to end before. And I think this is a lot more serious of a Sandra than I've ever really shown on this channel because, you know, it's YouTube. This is entertainment. But, you know, this topic is among the worst stuff that's ever happened to me. So forgive me if I don't dress it up so much. So I want to start this by giving a few trigger warnings for sex, sexual assault, abuse, and self-harm. And also one for negative body image and suicidality. You know, it's funny that this is the first time that I've really, publicly talked about sex on this channel. It was something that we were planning on doing back in the day, having a video about, sex as a system, because it was one of the things that, obviously not a lot of people on YouTube are going to be talking about. And then as more and more people started viewing this channel, as more eyes got put on this channel, the more shy I got. So I think Claudia is going to end up making a zine about that one of these days. So in July of 2018, I remembered something. This was a little less than a year before we found out about the system. This was still a strange occurrence to me. And I don't know if this was a memory that was given to me either purposefully or accidentally by someone else in the system, or whether this was a body memory that I already had, or that was free access, that I just never gotten into the right physical situation before that tapped into it. And the thing that came flooding back to me was a set of memories about our first girlfriend. So this girl and I, we started dating long distance initially, and she ended up going to the same college that I went to. When we met, she had already planned on going there. She didn't go there just because of me. She had some mental health issues, and, you know, pot calling kettle black here. Her mental issues got way worse once we stopped being a long-distance relationship and we were together all the time. So this girl was abusive to me. And one of the ways in which she was abusive was that she was really emotionally manipulative. You know, it's a classic abuse thing of keeping the victim isolated from their family and friends. So basically they don't have anyone to go to but you. And she did that. And I think the best way to explain her style of manipulation is to tell you a very small story. There was this time where I was going out with some friends. You know, I'd let her know beforehand, and she signed off on this event. And when I came back, she was in the student health center because she had hurt herself, like purposefully. Looking back on it now, it was very superficial self-harm. And the message was basically, you could have prevented this if you were here. It wasn't good. When you're inside one of these types of relationships, you cannot think as clearly as you can when you're outside of it. So this message was very much received. The upper brain was not involved here. You can't step back and think about it logically because that part of your brain has just kind of shut down. So we had a sexual relationship. It was a very committed relationship, and we're both adults and we're both allosexual. So sex happens at some point, usually. Our sexual relationship to this point has been fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. And I want to say that because I want to set up the fact that the stuff that comes after this was not normal for this relationship. Well, the sex parts of it weren't normal for this relationship. Leading up to this first event, she was very vocal about her body image and her weight. And she talked about how unattractive she felt and how much that depressed her and how much she wanted to like self-harm and to like, how much she wanted to hurt herself because of these body issues. So, I tried to support her the best that I could. And so on this day, she was having a particularly bad episode of this self-loathing, this body-related self-loathing. And she asked me if I wanted to have sex. And the answer that I felt was no. Just now I was going to justify why the answer was no, but no is a complete sentence. It doesn't matter. The answer I felt was no, but I didn't feel like I could say no because she had just calmed down from one of these body-hating episodes. And if I said no, the next question is why, and the next assumption is it's because I'm not attractive to you. And this was a point where she was calling the suicide hotline a lot, and she was a wreck all the time. There was this time around here where she was depressed, and she just like casually mentioned to me that she had sleeping pills that her sister had given her to like, help her sleep. She like suggested, like maybe I'll just swallow a handful of those. And so I obviously freaked out, and I texted her sister, and her sister is like, oh, sweetie, that's melatonin. It's like a vitamin. But that isn't how it was presented to me. So you have to understand, when I say I felt like I couldn't, I felt like saying no was to put her blood on my hands. So I said yes, not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I had to. I had no choice in it. I think that whenever, for me at least, I recall particular trauma memories, particular images come up for me. And the image I always think of with this is me kneeling on the floor next to her bed and her sitting up on her bed looking at me after asking me this, and just feeling absolutely powerless and just not knowing what to do. All of this happened within, seconds, because you also can't leave too much of a hesitation. That went on for a while. There were a lot of times during the rest of that relationship with her, which was probably only a couple more months of this. It was going down real quick, for a lot of reasons. For the rest of this relationship, there were times where I didn't want to, but I had to. And of course, there were consensual times in there, like mutually consensual times, but those aren't generally what sticks out to me during this time period. And so I remembered this, and a few days later, I talked with my friend Nicole about this, friend of the channel, Nicole, and I was recounting some of this to her. And after I said this, I said to her, Nicole, if someone else said this to me, I would say that they were raped. Was I raped? I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something along the lines of like, I can't tell you that, but it doesn't sound consensual. So a few months go by, and I do some therapy about it. I don't really end up feeling all that much better about it overall. But I'm at a place where I feel like I can have sex again. So my sex life has returned to a relative state of normalcy. And so I start seeing this girl. Mads and I are polyamorous. We date people outside of marriage, and we have sex with people outside of our marriage. And so I started seeing this girl, and things were really good, and our sex life was pretty good. And we dated for about a month, and then she broke up with me for reasons that I won't get into. And then a month after that, she asked to get back together again. And I say yes, because I really missed her. Almost as soon as we got back together, our relationship turned. And it was like dating that first girl again. She would talk a lot about like, I think I need to like check myself into a hospital like tonight or tomorrow because I want to die. But in the intervening 6 years since that first relationship, I've learned how to deal with those people a bit better. And so she would be like, Sandra, I think I need to like check myself into a hospital tomorrow so I don't kill myself. And I would be like, okay, if you think that's what's best, you should definitely do that. So, I was being supportive while not throwing myself into it. So you would think that me telling the story about the first girl and then describing how much this girl was like that first girl, that the story would end up going similarly, and I would be sexually assaulted again in a very similar way. But no, it was actually completely different. And I know that I'm like laughing a little bit during these, but it's sort of a like laugh so you don't cry, I guess. So I went on a date to see a movie with this girl. And on the way home, I was driving her home, and she turned off the radio. And she said, I want to ask you something, but I don't know how to say it. And so I said, okay. And then she just reaches over and grabs my crotch and starts like groping me. And I just froze up. I would like to say that I told this girl about my history of sexual assault, and I told her that whenever we did stuff, I needed like explicit asking for consent. This was not that. And so after like a couple of seconds, maybe like 30 seconds or so, I don't know, time kind of slowed down, to be completely honest. I finally got my senses back, and I gently moved her hand to not like make her upset or anything. And I said, that's dangerous. Let's not do that. Because it is, please do not do sex stuff to each other while driving. That's a great way to get into a car accident. And so we drive in silence for a couple of minutes. And then I say, like, please don't touch me without asking again. And she asked me, like, did I do something wrong? Like, was that not okay? And I don't know what I said, but whatever I said wasn't strong enough. And I wish I had been more direct. And we got back to the parking lot of her building, and she had a crying fit in the car. She did the, I think I need to check myself into a hospital tomorrow thing. And I just was not there. Like, I was present, I was still in the body. This was after we knew that we were a system. This was like April of last year. But I checked out. I mean, what can you do? Like, she's expecting me to, like, empathize with her, feel bad for her, or something. But I'm still over here thinking about how she grabbed my dick without asking. And how much of a violation that was. Like, just in general, and of the trust that she and I had built up to this point. And so I broke up with her a couple of weeks later. And then the week after that, she called me asking what the real reason was that I broke up with her. And Claudia took that call. We said it really was like this. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I can't get over this. And this girl said, well, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say it wasn't very nice to lead me on like that. You were talking about maybe getting an apartment together at some point, or like going on a trip. And, I really feel like you led me on, then blindsided me. Just the words "led me on" there were astonishing. I cannot believe that she said that to me. And I get where she's coming from, but I would like to say that it is a coping mechanism that when you are in a bad relationship, sometimes you extensively plan out a future with this person, or I guess these people or whatever, in order to, like, convince yourself that this relationship is worth staying in. like you're suffering for a reason, because I guess down the line it'll be better, you know? That's my best justification for it. So I suppose in that way I did lead her on. But she sexually assaulted me. So I started thinking about all this again a few days ago, and I was thinking mostly about how I still haven't really recovered. It's been over a year now. It's been a year and a half, almost exactly. And I am still affected by this. This really destroyed my sex life. And it's going to be so much harder to trust new partners in the future if that is a thing that happens in the future. And I just want my life back. So I called the RAIN hotline the other day. RAIN is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. They're an organization that helps support survivors. And so I called them. A woman picked up and she said, what I think she said was RAIN National Hotline or National RAIN Hotline. But what I heard was National Rape Hotline. And I froze up because I started thinking about how much worse it's been for other people, and can I even call what happened to me rape? So I chickened out because I was afraid that she would judge me, or that she would tell me that it wasn't really sexual assault, because I've had that happen before. We saw a therapist before the one that we're seeing currently, the wonderful one that we're seeing currently. And this other therapist was god-awful. At the time, it was, there's this BoJack Horseman quote that's, when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. And that's kind of where I was at. I was just amazed at having a therapist that was willing to talk to us individually and treat us all individually, that I didn't notice or care about some things that she did. But I told her this story, or I told her some of the stuff that happened with the first girl. I told her a simplified version. And she said, well, I don't want to call that sexual assault because it's not like she held you down or anything. And I still can't believe that someone would say that to a client. Like, I'm bearing my goddamn soul here, and I feel it's a pretty basic thing to define this the way that I am defining it. So the others in the system, Camilla specifically, she told me to either call back and talk to them and just wait for them to say something first before you judge them prematurely, or alternatively you could use their online chat client, because that's also anonymous. That's also, you're talking to a support person. It's very, very similar. And so I used the chat client, and I would like to personally thank Priscilla at the RAIN chat network, and I would like to say thank you very much. One could say that she didn't say very much but she didn't need to. I needed space to say all of this. And I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't already tell this story once this week. They advise you not to save your chats that you do for your own privacy, I guess, so that no one can stumble across it, you know. But I did anyway because I have a bad memory and I needed something where I could look back and read these kind words when I need them. It is what I felt was best for me. And some of the highlights of what Priscilla said were, I want you to know that you did a great job telling me right now. You're really brave for doing so. And she also said, I will say that what happened to you was not your fault, and only you have the power to define what happened to you. This video is going to be long, and I'm not sure how many people are going to sit through it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it up on the channel forever. But if you made it to this point, and you empathize with this, then I would like to extend Priscilla's kind words to you. What happened to you was not your fault. And only you have the power to define what happened to you. And if you feel able to, I recommend telling someone what happened to you, because I'm really glad I did. I'm going to leave a link to Rain's website in the description. You can find the phone number to the hotline there, and on there you can use their chat client. All of this is anonymous, and they can give you resources if you need to help with various aspects of this. And I'll say, even as a system, it can feel like you're going through this alone. But you don't have to. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. And thank you for listening. I'm gonna go let this out in private. Be well, guys. Thank you.